So I read a book, this book in fact, Legend Born by Tracy Dion. And the brief spoiler, but not very much because like it's an amazing book and you really should read it. The main female character in this book is set up as being the Lancelot, whereas the male lead is set up to be the King Arthur. And then, plot twist, it ends up that the female lead is the King Arthur and the male lead is the Lancelot. Um, Seriously, read this book. Go find out why. It's amazing. It's really, really good. Um, and I read that, and it suddenly occurred to me how often, like, that I just accept that the woman is going to be secondary to the man, even in the YA genre where so much of it is written by women, so much of it is female protagonists, and yet the woman is always somehow secondary to the man or of equal power level, right? Like, we're getting better about it. Let's give the women some power too, but it's like almost like we're afraid to pass that level, right? Like to make the woman more powerful than the man. And I did this too, and I wasn't even aware of it until I read this book. I read that book and also King of Scars by Barduzio. If you haven't read her series Six of Crows, and then this is the series that comes after it. I think this is the first book in the series that comes after it. That does a very, very similar thing with two of the characters in there. And it suddenly brought into my awareness the fact that even though I do, I'm very aware of gender roles, very aware of pushing those boundaries and turning those tropes on their heads, I had started writing a book where I was doing exactly that, where the male lead was just more powerful than the female lead for no reason, just because that was like what I expected. And I have since gone back and basically rewritten that story, because I realized that just couldn't stand. Um, but like the male leads in these types of books, they're kings, they're wizards, they're captains of the guard, they're some sort of powerful mythological creature like a dragon, right? And then the female character is like, if she's not completely normal, is somehow weaker, somehow needs to be protected, somehow needs the man around, right? Like, and so even the better stories where like they end up on equal footing, it's never that the woman is more powerful and the man has to take a back seat, right? If any of you watched the first Wonder Woman movie that had Gal Gadot in it, and she's amazing and beautiful, and I love her. Like, there's the scene toward the end where Chris Pine's character is like, "You go off and save the world," or no, "I'll go off and," what was it? Okay, never mind. Restart. Where Chris Pine's character says, "I'm gonna go save the day. You go save the world," and I'm like, I appreciated that because in that story, Wonder Woman is very obviously stronger than Chris Pine, but at the same time, like, what female, like, what love interest females were ever went off and saved the day, right? While the male character was off saving the world, right? Like, even in that, they were like, well, we can't just let Chris Pine do nothing. He wouldn't just do nothing, but women do nothing all the time. But so the point of this, sorry, I'm very emotional about this topic, but like, the point of this is that even with everything that I knew, these things still keep coming up. And I'm not saying that the woman always has to be stronger than the man, or the woman always has to be more important than the man, or whatever. But again, that we go into this with our eyes open and we don't just automatically to default to, oh yeah, well the guy's gotta have as much power as the woman. It's gotta be equal. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, the woman can be more powerful than the man. The woman can be more important than the man. I remember one of the feedbacks I got for the end of The Law of the Prince Charming, and this is a thing that I did very specifically. I remember somebody giving me the feedback that Wild Rose, who is the male lead basically of the story, they have this big fight against the dragon at the end, and they were like, it doesn't feel like Wild Rose does anything. And I remember reading that comment and going back, because I very specifically put him in the role of, because I mess with gender roles all the time, I very specifically put him in the role of, like, what a woman would do in a fight like that, right? Or, like, traditionally what a woman would do in a fight like that. And he actually gets in like, several good blows with magic and all that kind of stuff, and yet people were still going, doesn't seem like he's doing enough. And I was like, it's because he's male. And he's not saving the day, and so you think that he's not doing enough, right? This is just ingrained, right? It, like, the person who gave me that feedback, like, that was not in any way, like, that was general feedback. That was just what they thought, right? And th- th- this can be as simple also as all of the background characters being male, right? Like, you need to throw a guard into the scene, you need to throw a doctor into the scene, and then they all end up male. And, like, we don't even think about it because it's just so ingrained, it's so background, it's so whatever, that you have to actually stop and be like, how many background male characters have I made? Have I made any background female characters that aren't specifically mothers and or lovers, right? Those are the roles that, it's very often in media that I'll see a woman show up in some sort of, like, kind of powerful role, and you're like, oh, a woman in a sort of powerful role. And then it's either because they're going to fall in love with a male character, or because they're going to be a mother, or, like, have had a baby, or will have a baby, or something like that. Like, specifically that they, have characters. Right now, one of the easy things you can do is start having background characters that are female just because they're female. There doesn't have to be a reason that they're female. They don't, there doesn't have to be a reason that they're female, right? Because my encouragement is that you see these things. My encouragement is that you start seeing these patterns, noticing these patterns when they get broken in other things, and then giving yourself permission to change them, right? Make a conscious decision. I'm not, you know, see the themes, see what's there, and question them. I'm having a particular tirade against the male lead always, like, because I write or read fantasy specifically. The male lead is often hundreds, if not thousands, of years old, and then the woman is 18. And I'm just like, there's so many problems with this, and there's so many, like, there's things with this. Like, this is a thing where I've seen it, and I'm writing into a story, like, to specifically counter this. Because, you know, let's be honest, I enjoy reading those stories. I do. Like, I am not in any way pooping on those stories, right? But it's one of those things that just happens, like it's a trope, and so it happens and we do it without thinking about it. And so I want you to be able to look at those things and be like, okay, why is it like this, right? How can I do this differently? How can I shake this up a little bit so that we're not always stuck in the exact same thing over and over again? Oh, and then I was going to show the author picture for... I have no idea where that book is. That's okay. And it can even be as little as... I don't know what her name is either. Okay, I'm going to leave this running. Go get another book. Okay, I don't think the picture is on this because it's the paperback. But still, okay. And it doesn't even have to be anything really big, right? Iron Widow by Xiranjay Xiao. Also amazing and just crushes, like, calls out and crushes gender roles in just the most amazing way. Her author picture, which I don't have because this is the paperback version, but it's going to be put right here. Like, she did this author photo, and people talked about it because it's just so far outside what's typical. Now, men and women in general in books have, the very serious, like, studious picture. And I have even taken one of those myself for the eventual publishing of a book when I need an author photo. And I looked at that picture and I was like, I'm a fantasy author, gosh darn it. Why am I not riding a griffin? This is like the best idea ever. And so, at a certain point when I have need of an author photo, I'm going to do something like that. I mean, obviously not that because that's very specifically her and, whatever. But like, it's one of those things that was just always expected until you see somebody like do something different, and then you're like, oh yeah, why have we been doing it this way the whole time? Like, when it's fancy schmancy, literary fiction, okay, do your little, looking down your nose at everybody. But if you're a fantasy author, go crazy with it, right? Like, there's no reason for it to be this boring author photo, right? Give yourself permission to do something that is outside of the norm. And your books will be better for it. So if you like this video, go ahead and like this video. If you'd like to see some more of my videos, go ahead and subscribe, and then you'll see when those come out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye-bye.